Welcome in, everybody. We are back. It is Down the Locals in the Box with. I think this is essentially, we're going to be saying this is the start of season 4 because there's been such a big gap.
Yeah.
It may mean there was only one episode of season 3, but what a way to go out. That was Billions. Billions done season 3, 1 episode. It was almost like a writer's strike after. But we are back today. We are back today with Lucas, also known as Crabdribble. You will have seen him doing his Bajie save on Twitch. If you haven't seen him do it, get over and have a look. But you would have also seen him as one of the co-commentators on the last series of Down the Local, the FM Draft. He will be back for season 3 on that as well. And also co-host a few times as a step-in on the main show on Down the Local. Lucas, good to have you on, my friend.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
So what we will do, guys, is go through the standard 5 questions. We will get the opinion of where things have happened and where the love of football has all stemmed from. And also, we then end up with the big 5 at the end, the 5 attributes that make the complete footballer, different every time, which is why we keep doing it. So if you are ready, sir, we will kick off with question number 1.
Let's do it.
So what is your first real memory of football?
Oh, okay. First real memory of football, right? It says 2 actually to this. I did 1, which is football as a whole, and then 2 is probably, I guess, my first game. And they're both probably, I think they're both the same year. So my first real memory of football is probably around 98 or 97. Yeah. So I would have been 4, 5 years old around then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Young chap I am. I was and I've admitted this on camera a few times, but I don't think people have picked it up. So I wanted to be a Chelsea fan when I was at school. God knows why, but I think it was Zola. So I don't know what it was, but 4-year-olds were obsessed with Zola in the 90s for some reason.
It's because you were all the same height as him.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, he was the most relatable footballer at the time. So I was like Chelsea, but I was so young I didn't really know. And then my brother and my dad were both Arsenal.
Yeah.
So my brother would literally force me to watch Arsenal DVDs like over and over again. It was literally like the prison torture camps at the moment. It was me watching like Ian Wright and all of that, Rocastle and all of those videos. Like me at like 5, 6, and I was watching it and I was like, oh my god, Arsenal, mate. He's like, don't support Chelsea. It's like, well, Chelsea won. Chelsea have done nothing. They're not going anywhere. He was like, 20 years time, you don't want to be supporting Chelsea, do you? Hindsight is a wonderful thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then I was like, I want to support Arsenal. So about from there, for 5 years old, 4 or 5 years onwards, pretty much my earliest memory. Not even just football, the earliest memory. I can remember just having that lean towards Chelsea, and then slowly, and then just going, you know what, I'm going to support Arsenal for good, just because follow my brother and my dad, and and look where we are. But yeah, that's probably my earliest memory, is switching over from Chelsea because of the lovely Arsenal DVDs.
Yeah, I mean, at least you could never be accused of being a glory hunter. I mean, you could have been for maybe 2 or 3 years, but that's soon gone out the window. So
yeah, we had a rough 5. Well, until Abramovich arrived, we'd have had a rough 5, 6 years, and then it would have been smooth sailing from then.
Yeah, definitely. Exactly right. Yeah.
But, Henri tricked an entire generation. Duped
you in.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, dear. Cool.
And then I'd say game is probably same, or I think it was the next year, it was Dynamo Kiev Champions League, but it's played at Wembley.
Yes.
And that's why I remember it. It was old Wembley. I literally remember vividly the walk up Wembley.
Wembley Way.
Exactly. Yeah, I can't remember. I can't forget that at all. Which is strange because I don't remember the game apart from Bergkamp's goal. It was an awful game. That's probably why we drew 1-1. But yeah, that's probably the earliest football memory, is walking up old Wembley and just being astounded by like all the fans and everything. It's great. The first time you ever do it, it's brilliant.
Games, and that would have been the Dynamo Kiev team that sort of had Shevchenko, Rebrov, like in their absolute peak.
That was their prime, pretty much.
Yeah. Wow. Well, there you go. That's a game to remember, if nothing else, just because not many people would have got to have seen that Kiev team before it got dismantled completely. But fantastic.
Or that Arsenal team.
Yeah, that's true.
And Arsenal playing at Wembley as well, second home.
Yeah. I'm guessing that was a long time before the Emirates was being built, and and Highbury was being knocked down, wasn't it? Because that wasn't until the 2000s, later in the 2000s.
2000 and because my dad lives literally on the road, same road as the Emirates, Drayton Park.
Oh, okay.
So it was. I remember they were building at Ashburn Grove, the massive sign up, like right by the train station, and I'm pretty sure that started building just after I left primary school. So it would have been around 2001, 2002. I think they started working on it. It took 4 years.
Yeah.
Massive. I remember that happening. But Highbury was lovely, and now it's just apartment blocks. It's so weird when you walk past it because they still got the front. Yeah, it's like it's just apartments.
Yeah. All the old stadiums being knocked down and just turning into housing, so there's not even a memory of it there.
Housing and a coffee shop.
Yeah. Must have been a posh area then. Cool. So we move on. What was your first major international tournament you remember? And what is it that you remember most clearly or fondly of it?
So first international tournament I remember would have been 98, France 98.
Yeah.
And I believe it was a team that I don't remember the teams, but it was a team that played in yellow. That's all I remember. But it was on the TV. It might have been Romania. Yeah, Mutu. It was Mutu play. Yes. Because again, with a Chelsea. Yep. Yeah. Great player. Good, like to party a little bit too much. That was it.
Yeah. On the verge of missing a septum.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I remember that because my brother was born during that. He was born June 14th, so it was right in the middle of. They used to start quite a bit earlier, didn't they?
Yeah,
but he was being brought home that day while the game was on. So I remember everyone, like all the family around. You can't forget that. And my brother, like his baby coming in, but the game was on in the background. So my uncles were obviously all trying to. Now when I'm older, I realized that they were just watching the football the whole time. They're new baby, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Everyone was just watching the football. So that's probably the first I remember watching it. But vividly, I'd say South Korea 02.
Yeah,
definitely, because that was when I was like, I just loved Brazil. It was like, and that was Ronaldinho, the introduction of Ronaldinho. I think Ronaldinho was there. Yeah.
It was, Ronaldinho, Ronaldo, and Rivaldo.
Honestly, the best set of footballers I think I've ever seen in one team. Technically gifted footballers. So I remember that tournament and obviously South Korea going quite far as the underdog was all very amazing as neutrals. But yeah, I do remember that vividly because I'd never seen footballers play like that at such a high level as well. And at a young age, that was literally what made me fall in love with football. And Ronaldinho being my favorite player of all time after seeing him in that Brazil team. Yeah, that was it. I was just like, I am in love with the game after that. So yeah, I'd say 98 very small, but 2002 World Cup, 100%.
Yeah. It was a big one. It was a good one as well. Not so much for England, but yeah.
When has it been?
Well, yeah, fair. Even when we go far, we don't necessarily look like we're ever going to win it.
Exactly.
So, flattered to see. But yeah, no, I remember that one. The thing that tournament, the thing that stands out most vividly for me was after, and it was the guy who was scoring a lot of the goals for South Korea. Was it Hang Chi or something like that?
Just a random player, wasn't it?
Yeah. And he then was playing for Perugia, scored the goal that knocked Italy out of the World Cup. Yes. And Perugia's chairman sacked him.
Yeah, they got rid.
Yeah, didn't even sell him.
It's nothing
terminated
personal.
his contract. Yeah. What kind
you
of
don't even see that on Football Manager. You don't even see that on Football Manager.
No,
people just terminate contracts like that.
I was like, this guy's just scored a load of goals. He's clearly in some good form. Surely, as Perugia, you want to make the most of that. Yeah, exactly. Just sack him because he's knocked your country out. Honestly, very weird.
They were brilliant as a host nation. Because I don't remember they didn't have any. I think of the Asian nations around then, it was mainly Japan had a load of stars playing for like Milan and like Arsenal. We had I can't remember, was it Nakamura? Inamoto, yeah. Yep. Whereas I don't think South Korea or China qualified around there as well. And all the other Asian countries didn't really have any sort of like top players at top clubs.
No.
I think Ji-sung Park didn't really arrive for South Korea until around then, actually. Maybe it was just after that or just before.
Yeah. Sol Ki-yoon, who was playing in England, but never really amazing.
Yeah, you didn't have worldies, but
no.
Yeah, I mean, well played. Put on a show.
Done well, very well. Cool. Okay, so when you played football, what is I have to go with was sometimes and is sometimes, because obviously this age thing is getting on my tits, man. Some people are still playing, some people have long off sacked. What is your most consistent position? So where do you play, or where do you play on the most regular basis?
So when I probably started primary school, as pretty much everyone does in the UK when they start playing football. So I played football and rugby pretty much consistently from as soon as I went into secondary school. Played a little bit in primary school, I wouldn't really count that, but from secondary school played it at least like first, like quite a competitive level down in South London. So I started off and it always gets a bit muddled, but I think it was right back.
Right.
So I was relatively quick, like quicker than most people in the team. And I was also I had quite a good work rate. I wasn't great like stamina wise, but I'll get into that in the next question. But I was very quick and I was okay-ish on the ball, but I was very quick and had a good work rate and liked to work for the team sort of thing.
Yeah.
So they put me at right back to start off with. And I quite enjoyed that, but I was also quite good attacking wise. Like I would bomb up and down the wings, like I put in a good cross. And then I moved into, so this was an interesting one. We played, I think it was under 13s.
Yeah.
We were on course to win the league in South London. We hadn't lost the game. We drawn a couple, but we hadn't lost the game, and we did go invincible in the end. And we played a team in Croydon. I think it was, I can't remember the name of them, but they were the best. They had been the best team for years. And I played DM that game. So our DM was injured. So they moved me into DM, and our best player was like a number 10 who played in the middle. It was always 4-4-2 back then, wasn't it? So they put me next to him, and it was literally Kante Pogba. It was like that. It was like he literally ran the entire midfield, and as soon as they won the ball back, I was straight in there. And also I liked to get a bit like dirty. I would kick players and things like that. I'd be that guy that I would like, brush people off the ball and slide in. So as soon as we lost the ball, I'd be on them, pass it to him, pass it to him, and then we managed to go that whole. And then I just stayed there for the rest of like the season, and then was a DM. And then I think the next year I kind of just like wasn't as bothered. So then I had a bit of like a part. I was a bit more of a bench player, impact sub, and that was used as a right winger. So I moved into like the wing later on. And then when I moved abroad, I played on the wing. So I was like left wing, right wing. And then that was when I actually honed in on sort of like dribbling and things like that, and just gave up on stamina completely and was just like a luxury left winger with a cheeky right foot and quite tricky. And when I moved to Gambia, they used to call me Robinho. So I was very much like literally a lazy shit, but pretty good on the ball on the left wing. I just used to stand there, give me the ball, and I'll take on someone, just pace them, or go through, give them a nutmeg, and then just back sticks, and there you go. So I'd say DM I definitely enjoyed more. I think when I play it now, even if it's like, I mean, 5-a-side's not really said, but if I play like a 7 or 11, I'll play either like a DM or like a box to box position in the middle, because I'm good at like passing now, and I'm very good like on the ball, and I don't like running as much when I'm playing football. So DM or like left wing.
Running's overrated.
Exactly.
I've always said to people, especially after sort of all the injuries, my space is a 2-meter radius around me. Anything in that 2-meter radius, we're all good. That has now shrunk to 1.5. But I've always,
you were social distancing before everyone else.
Well, exactly. But literally, give me the ball in that space. If you were asking me to run, then you can't pass the ball properly.
Exactly.
Because I'm stood here. Oh yeah, exactly. I'm stood here. I've given you a radius of
box.
It. Exactly.
Honestly, but I think when you're a kid, you kind of model yourself on a player that you go through phases. So it's like when I was that right back, I used to like Lauren and Ashley Cole, the fullbacks, and quite like to do like fullbacks who get forward and things like that. And then when I moved into DM, it was more. I think that was the period when I was just like, there's no one really that amazing. Like I guess Makelele at Chelsea was pretty much there, but I was Arsenal was like Gilberto Silva, Vieira, that kind of thing. But then again, after 2002, it was the Brazilians, and it was like everyone wanted to be Ronaldinho, Robinho, R9, things like that, and transition themselves into those positions. And it was, I think it was pretty much, after seeing that, I was like, yep, I want to be a left winger and just play flair, and that's it, and dance and stuff like that.
Little cheeky step over and then a whip ball.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. So you kind of just touched on it a little bit there, but if you could do something different that would have made more of your footballing ability, what would it have been?
So I think there's two things. I think one would have been stamina. I think I played sports pretty consistently when I was a kid. And even now I do it even more. My stamina is probably much better now than it was when I was a kid, which is insane. But I don't know what it was, but then again, I did have asthma as well. So it was just working on that part of the game, because I get quite fatigued, and that would obviously affect me tracking back and certain things. So, and movement, which is why the DM position was great. Because again, like you said, it was a 2-meter radius. Anyone steps in here, I'm kicking you. If I can't be bothered to run after you, I'm kicking you and taking you down. So it would have been put more effort into sort of, I should have been doing like sort of cross country as well at school when they did stuff like that to help my game on football, work on my stamina and things like that. And then I'd say after that, it would have been more off the pitch training. I wish I'd worked more on sort of just like my composure and technique. Outside of like the training sessions we had at school. So, I played, you play football when you grab a ball, have a kick about in the park or, in the, on the street and stuff when we were kids. But that was always just the piss day. It would have been, actually consistently doing some off the pitch training and things like that, and actually working hard. Because if I'd stayed in the UK, I could have gone quite far with it with the football. Who knows what could have happened? Like Palace was my local side at the time, and they would send scouts to our games, because especially after we won the league Invincible in South London, it would be a lot of the players that I went to school with. Like it was Palace, Charlton, and Leyton Orient, but that was a little bit far. But Palace and Charlton were the two who would pick up a lot of kids from South London. So you never know, if you get one lucky tryout or something, and you play in the reserves for a bit, even if you don't make it as a pro, it's always I feel like it's always a really good thing to go through.
Definitely.
It's quite good. So
my old man lived in or grew up in Mitcham. And
nice.
So he used to say that Crystal Palace would take on 60, 70 kids every year, and then over the course of the season just whittle it down to be left with essentially a squad, and then they'd bring in the same amount the next year and see if there'd been progression. And he said, it was a nightmare, because they used to get, I mean, we're talking sort of 50, 60 years ago, they used to get the hopes up of loads of kids because they've been invited in. And it's almost not a trial, because you're in and you're going to play games. You're not going to be tested over a weekend. And he said they'd get the hopes up, and then they'd just gradually let all these kids go. And he said, and it was a testament to the ones who went back year after year and then progressed and actually got in, because they could clearly tell they'd gone away and worked on something. Whereas a lot of the kids would be told no, and that'd be it. They'd lose interest. So
you never know, because it's like you could have that potential, and with the right coaching, it puts you and if you're mentally there and you have the physical ability and technical ability with the right coaching, you can achieve a pretty good, there are footballers now who are stealing a living, let's be honest. So like, I remember that season, the under 13. So I moved to Gambia the December the following year, so we won the league Invincible over the summer, and then we came back to school in September. Football started in October. And then that's when the coaches said, by the way, there are going to be scouts. There was like a local Sunday league team that wanted like some players, and they said Crystal Palace potentially. I remember telling my mom that, and I was just like, fine, I'll just email Crystal Palace because it's around the corner from where we live. And she's like, see, and they responded, and they said they like what you said. They said they take on kids in big groups, and you go and you literally do an indoor training session with like the current set of reserves. And then it's like, after that, you get picked. If they like what you see, you pretty much just got to show up and don't be an idiot, basically. And then you get picked after that. But they were like, we're not taking any until the next season. They do it all over so I was like, okay, well, maybe next season. And then I moved abroad, and that was that pipe dream had disappeared. But you never know. I like to hold on to that one.
It was taken away from me.
Good pub chat. I could have played for Palace.
I could have beat somebody.
Exactly.
Cool. So stamina was the main thing that if you'd worked on, and actually, and obviously, as you just said, then that sort of individual coaching or that awareness of what you needed to work on is always a bonus, because it's so much easier to then go and, put the effort in and do those sorts of things.
Exactly.
Awesome. Right. We move on. Number 5. It's the big 5. It's the 5 must-have attributes to make the complete footballer. As we know, it's not necessarily position specific, but these are the key things you feel that potentially every player should have.
Okay. Oh, okay. Right. First one's got to be some form of like, I don't want to use like specifically football manager, but like determination. I say determination, willpower. Yeah. Towards the 2.
Yeah.
And I think that is something that's definitely missing with the current crop of players in that. And whereas what you had with like, I'd say the 2000s generation of like technically insane footballers, but they were winners. They all wanted to win, basically. I feel like that's missing. I feel like majority of these footballers don't give a shit if they win or lose. A lot of them, it's
They
paycheck
got their
at the
big
end of the day.
cash job done. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a millionaire. It's a job. Yeah. So that, I think passion kind of comes into that a little bit, but I think it's that determination and willpower to succeed and be better than you were the previous season and get the team better than you were the previous season. I think that's what separates, a good footballer from an elite footballer, is that determination to win and at all costs, basically. Win or be the best player, which is why I love Ronaldo so much, because Messi is clearly the better footballer, let's be honest. But Ronaldo's determination to be able to compete with literally an alien for the last 10 years is insane and cannot be like disrespected at any level. The fact that he's still going, it's brilliant. And I think he's more of a relatable sort of sports figure in terms of, the fact that you can actually work hard. He's a bit like LeBron James. You can work to an elite level and train and arrive at training before everyone else and leave that after everyone else physically and, diets and stuff like that. Whereas you feel like Messi just rocks up and it's just literally levels above. Probably doesn't even have a specific diet, knowing Messi, to be fair. He's just that good.
Yeah.
But so I say the first one was definitely determination / a willpower to win and to be better.
Okay.
I think
is
important.
Cool.
Yeah.
Number 2.
Second one, teamwork. Got to have teamwork. You got to play for the team. Not even the team, for the club. I feel like you've got to be passionate about the club and you've got to want the club to be better. You can't just play for yourself. And a lot of players do that. Again, a lot of players do that themselves. I feel like that doesn't necessarily mean you got to pass all the time. Some strikers don't, if you're a striker, hit the ball in the back of the net. But I feel like that sort of teamwork, playing for everyone, making sure, looking after your teammates, supporting your teammates, backing your teammates as well is very important. I think you need that sort of like culture. I think Pep and Klopp have done that. They've got a proper team with elite footballers, but they have it's a team. You can see that, especially with Man City, when you've got actual worldies in most of these positions, there's zero egos. It's just it's the team comes first.
Yeah, and you've got some of the best players in the world sat on the bench every so often, and they get on with it.
And Ferguson's the only one I've seen who has done something similar to that.
Yeah.
In that, Ferguson had Berbatov on the bench, his Solskjaer on the bench, these were world-class footballers.
Yeah.
And they were happy with their role. Louis Saha at one point was a great, he scored like 20 plus goals for Fulham before he moved.
Yeah.
And they was like, you're sitting on the bench, you're going to play 30 games a season, starting, but you're a squad player, but you're part of the best club in the world. You play your part and you're contributing, but you're not a starter, but your contribution is just as much as Ferdinand or Vidic. And that's teamwork. That's, I'm not bigger than the team, basically.
Yeah.
Composure is the next one.
Yeah.
My favorite footballer, as you said, Ronaldinho, it's literally, if you're able to play the game at a walking pace, and like control of the ball, and it's just on an elite level, you can always tell, basically, when there's players like that, which is why I loved Mesut Ozil, why I loved Alexis Sanchez from our team, Cazorla, like these guys, just the composure was just insane. Ozil in particular, even in his latter years, you couldn't get the ball. When you're someone like that, who everyone says is shit, but yet nobody can get the ball off of you, you're playing against top players and no one can get the ball off of you. Just absolute world-class composure.
And I always feel sorry for Cazorla, because I think he was a drastically underrated player.
It was only after he left,
just so many injuries at the time during his time at Arsenal. But then, to be fair, at that time, everyone had loads of injuries when they were at Arsenal.
Must be something in the food.
Yeah, but to think that Cazorla started off at Villarreal as a winger, as a left winger, and he comes into the Premier League and he plays a few games out there, and then plays as an attacking midfielder, and then almost as a deep line playmaker.
Yeah,
he's moved from he's moved from essentially a technical cruise league, in Spain, to sort of a hard up and down work ethic, work rate. I mean, there is still the technical stuff's there now, more so, but when Cazorla first came over, it was still a little bit of the gung-ho approach, and he adapted to it, and was an absolutely quality player.
Yeah. But that's why we had all those injuries, though, because Wenger bought all these technical players who just weren't physically built for the Premier League. Which is
yeah.
why they were always injured. But yeah, because that I think if you're just your composure is just like that, I think you can just, you can single-handedly run an entire game. Iniesta, for example, for me had probably next to Messi, the best composure I've ever seen on a footballer. Zidane as well, that kind of thing. So I think that just separates you in terms of how you control the ball, and then that kind of moves on to ball. I guess ball control is kind of similar, or technique, technique. Your Neymar's, Pogba on his day, Ronaldinho, the greatest. Sorry, but he for me is the greatest I've ever seen, even though it was 2 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that technical ability, and that one kind of makes me a little bit sad because where that's disappearing basically. You know, Neymar is probably the last of a generation of technically fluid footballers that we have who are just allowed to have fun with the ball basically.
Yeah.
I think that people say like Vinicius is of a similar mold, but again, not quite the same.
No,
there's not really that many.
That kind of
flair, it's pure flair.
Yeah. That sort of stuff is kind of going out of the window because the idea of it is it doesn't work into a teamwork ethic. It doesn't do this.
Exactly.
Those players are there just to do a little bit of showboat, win a game, job done. And you accept that every so often they will go missing in the game because it's not going their way. But I agree. I think it's been.
But they will win you titles.
Yeah, but it's being trained out of a lot of players to an extent. Yeah,
which is why
it's a shame.
Brazil in particular, their football quality has gone completely. I mean, look at their team compared to the one it was 20 years ago, for example. Because that, like you said, it's being trained out. You're not getting selected on your FIFA street ability. You're getting selected on your ability, your work rate, basically, and your concentration and things like that.
And I think there's a big sort of shift as well. You're seeing it across the world now with futsal. And if you are one of those sort of, like you say, a FIFA
you go to
style,
that game,
you go and play futsal. Yeah.
Because there's more money in it now than there was before. There's more, TV deals, things like that. So you're right. Those kind of players are moving out the game, but maybe, we'll loop round. Maybe it's a generation thing. You'll have loads of, athletes, and then one player will come in and just run past everyone and put it in the top bins. You'll be like, okay, let's start getting more of these players in.
We'll get it back in. Yeah. I suppose you've got people a little bit like Phil Foden and people like that are a little bit like that. They've got that flair, that composure to do it.
Jack Grealish, another one. Yeah.
Grealish to an extent. Yeah. And there, I think the bonus that they've got is they're playing under the right manager to be able to do it. Pep Guardiola encourages that. He'd done it at Barca. He'd done it at Munich. To a slightly lesser degree because a lot of them were units and athletes, and he just got them playing in the right way. But again, Man City, he's done it. He's got Bernardo Silva in there, Foden, Grealish, Mahrez, all of those sort of guys who, when you put them up against a big hard team, will win you the game with a little bit of intricacy.
Yeah, one on one, up and one, like with those kind of players, they get past their man and it's literally, they're free on goal, or there's a cross in. So if you've got players like that, they get that, slowly. You've got Mahrez, and then you've got Gabriel Jesus coming in, who's not that kind of player. He's more of a up and down the wing, or, end to end. So, but I think for a complete footballer, I think, your ball control, obviously not on an elite level like a Neymar for a complete footballer, but, I think that does separate you if you, for your first touch is like Cazorla, for example.
Yeah.
And again, we said he was probably the best two-footed footballer I've ever seen.
Yeah.
In my lifetime was Cazorla, in that I've never seen anyone be able to do that with both feet, like literally just naturally two-footed. So, I think complete football, your technical ability, ball technique, I'd say.
Cool. So last one.
Anticipation, I have to say, or your ability to understand. The ability to understand what's going on and also predict, they've got the ball. Their central midfielder's got the ball. He usually passes down the wing. If you're up against, for example, Man City at the moment, and you're like, Fernandinho's picked up the ball. He's obviously going to go to the wing. He's going to go to one of the fullbacks because they're bombing past. What's going to happen next when they bomb past? Sterling's going to cut in. Things like that. Being able to read that, and then also not only like shift your position, but everyone around you, especially if you're a central defender or a central midfielder. Ensure your line. I think that separates it as well when you can read. And there were some. I mean, you look at like John Terry for me, for example. I think in the Premier League, he was probably the best defender I've seen at reading the game. And then you could throw in maybe a Vidic, for example, I'd probably put in there. Well, but John Terry for me is the best Premier League defender I've ever seen, centre back, because I think just he was never quick. He was so slow always, but his ability to just read attacks and where they were coming from and organize a defense just made him an elite defender. And then same on the other end, anticipation of strikers as well, being able to know, right, as soon as he picks up the ball, I need to get in this position and be ready to get the pass. Your Henrys, like your R9s, like things like that. The difference with them is they could just pick the ball up at the halfway line and just run past everyone.
I think when you look at the movement and the anticipation, I think Sergio Aguero was unreal with that sort of
levels. Literally, off the ball movement was insane.
Yeah. And to think he was almost binned out by Guardiola as well.
Yeah, the very beginning. Didn't like him.
No, didn't do what he wanted in the team, and he completely redeveloped himself. And what a baller to score on average 20 goals a season and never play the whole season. Yeah, exactly. Ridiculous.
I think he would have broken Shearer's record if he stayed injury free.
Yeah.
How long was he there? 11 years, I think.
10 years, I think he'd done.
10 years.
Yeah.
And what's Shearer's goal thing? 160?
Premier League with 260. And Aguero,
so, Aguero would have got 26 Premier League goals if he stayed injury-free, or, he would have got over 30 in a couple of them.
Yeah.
So it could have been done. And to be fair, he probably would have stayed at City if he was injury-free. Yeah. I think that whole Barcelona move was, there was a messy part, but it was also, I just need a break from the Premier League. I'm getting
broken every game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Without anyone touching me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That would be the last one. Yeah. Anticipation / being able to read the game.
So your 5: determination, teamwork, composure, technique, ball control. Yeah. And then anticipation, reading the game.
Yeah.
Perfect. Love those. Absolutely love those. And I think, it's definitely showing that I think there's always got to be one in there that is either your passing or your ball control technique, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Because without that, all you've got is essentially someone who knows how to play the game. You've got to be able to kick.
You're a manager.
You've got to be,
exactly.
Exactly right. Yeah.
You're a coach.
You've got to be able to kick it and control it. Yeah. So
you've got to first and foremost know how to play football. Yeah.
Exactly right. Absolutely fantastic. So guys, if you are watching this on the live show or you are watching on YouTube, Lucas Crabdribble, links underneath him right now. Find him on Twitch, find him on Twitter, find him on Down the Local shows when we do the next FM drafts. If you are listening to this on Spotify when it comes out or any of those other FM platforms, then obviously his link will be in the description where you can go and find him from there. But for now, Lucas, absolute pleasure having you here and chatting about your football history as opposed to other people's competing history. And we will catch up. We will catch up very soon. For now, thank you. See you later, guys.